Alright, I am back to streaming again. I have no idea what I sound like, but I'm just going to keep on going. Okay, so where I was before with this... Alright, well, I can't hear any echo on my end. I hear no difference from now and before. So in the chat, you're going to have to tell me if I start echoing again. And I'll just keep doing that, restarting it like that if it ever happens again, because on my end, I can't tell. Alright, where was I? I tried doing this before. I didn't quite have the necessary DV to pull it off, and I was aimed a little too high. So I'll aim a little bit lower. And I will put more DV on the craft. Alright, let's try that. I really can't wait until we can finally vanquish the 32-bit limit, because this is always... I have this up here so I can see when I'm getting near the point where it'll crash. And I really wish I didn't have to do that. Oh. Yeah, Patrick, I'm in the same boat. I wouldn't mind giving Realism Overhaul a shot, but the enormous number of mods it wants to throw onto your system, there's no way I'm doing that in the 32-bit limit. Nor do I want to have to live with the restrictions that you have to live under to get all the 64-bit stuff working in Windows. I'm just, screw it. I'm just going to wait. But of course, that also means waiting even longer, because Realism Overhaul is a large mod pack, and then you have to wait for all the mods themselves to be updated to 1.1, and that won't come quickly either. Okay, well, it looks as if everything survived the overheating except the parachute. Well, that's a problem. Well, I may as well recover that, or transmit that, because this thing's not going to make it to survive. So I may as well transmit what I got. That at least gets me one piece of the contract. It also wanted it from space. So let's transmit that and get another piece of the contract done. The only piece left would be landed in Highlands, which this one clearly won't be doing. I like the little comments. Seriously? You want to know the temperature now? We're in space. Who cares? And no parachute means this will not go well. Let's just watch the disaster happen. I like how that went. I do like how the ocean looks from high up with scatterer on. Bye! Epic plunge. Alright, so the only thing left is I have to get to the Highlands. It doesn't really matter how. Let's see if I can grab a little bit more contract along the way. Well, I can use one of those to launch with anyway, so I may as well pick that up. So my contract wanted me to test this while landed, so that'll be some nice, easy, free money. Meanwhile, I didn't actually need all this much fuel after all. But how much do I need? Let's also turn this down. I don't need anywhere near that much speed. Actually, I should turn this down while I'm at it, because I don't need to be blowing up in the atmosphere either. I'm sort of trying to do this on the cheap and easy. Therefore, I'm trying to do as much as I can with the crudest, simplest kind of scripting at first, and with my goal being to actually build up a more complex library as I take the career on. So that's sort of why I'm doing very dumb things at the beginning here, of trying to do as much as I can with as little work as possible on the scripting side. By the way, how's the echoing? Is it still sounding good? I'm still not echoing anymore? Okay, looking good so far. Although the steering manager algorithm being unaware that fins do things, it's going nuts on this right now. He's wasting a little bit of power from all that steering. There. Now it's better because it has a swivel engine and it can recognize how to use that for steering. Okay. I got my testing contract money, so at least I'm getting a little bit. Probably should have aimed a little more northward, maybe about a 320 instead of 300. Put myself in that area. But still, I think I've got it as long as I don't land right on the mountain. Alright, let's see how this does. Did I overshoot again? I might have. This looks like it might have overshot again. Yeah, I'm back in the flats. And again, maybe I'm not. This is kind of bumpy ground that apparently someone seems to have thought a city was built on. This might actually be highland. Let's see. I sometimes wish there was a better physics warp than just 4 times, but I know how bad physics warp messes with things. It's just, there are certain cases where even 4 times is not fast enough. Oh, that's right. Oh, no! Ah! That's right! Even if this is Highlands, that doesn't do me any good. I don't have radio contact. I can't actually turn on the experiment. Wasn't thinking straight. That is one of the things about remote tech that I consider to be kind of silly and unrealistic, is that once you've got something on the ground, you should be able to communicate with something that's landed on Kerbin. The presumption being you've got, ground-based stuff happening on your own homeworld. You should be able to get to it. Yeah, I didn't think about it, but you're absolutely right. I should have scripted the running of the experiment. I totally forgot to, because I'm scatterbrained and hadn't realized that problem. Alright, well, let's do that then. That's something I don't normally touch, that part of the mod, so I'm going to need a little bit of help reminding myself how that works. Alright, so let's look at this. How does that work again? Right. Okay, that seems reasonable. Incidentally, this is one thing that I find slightly annoying about how the Sphinx documentation system works. When you search on a keyword and it highlights the keyword, the highlight inserts a space that's not actually there. Like if I go up here to the URL and get rid of the highlight, keep your eyes on this here. You see, that space that it was showing is not actually on the page. And that I find annoying, because inserting extra spaces into the documentation when people search on things gives them the wrong idea. And I'm not really sure where to go look to fix that in our system, but I really wish it didn't do that. Alright, so anyway, this is what I needed to do. So I wait until on the ground, then when on the ground, I'm getting some advice in the chat about how to do it, and I think your suggestions would probably work. I'm just going to go and in the VAB put the tag ground experiment on all of the devices that I want to activate when I'm on the ground. And that should make this work, in principle. But you know what I should probably do first, just to verify? I'm going to try that interactively before I actually run the actual experiment. What I will do is launch a thing to the launch pad without actually launching it. And incidentally, I can slightly reduce these. I don't quite want this going as far as it did. There we go. I don't have a VAB upgrade yet. I'm still so early in the career, I have no cash that I can afford to waste. Plus, I've done a number of these where I've had to redo the mission, and I'm doing it on the rule that I'm not allowing myself to revert. So that tends to mean that it takes like a couple of tries to get a mission right. So I'm still a little bit out of cash at the moment. So to answer that question, no, I have not in fact upgraded the VAB yet. Okay, so I'm just taking a look here in this other window. You won't be able to see it on screen, but I'm looking at what I've typed in my code, and I'm going to repeat it up here. So let's say hypothetically that I decided to call that Why can't I change the name tag in flight? I thought I could do that. I'm supposed to be able to do that. I can do it here. I can change this name tag in flight. Why can't I change that name tag in flight? Well, that's weird. Did I just accidentally discover a bug while streaming? But, you know, I can go here onto this part and change its name tag during flight. I can't do it to these science parts. Oh no, I'm sorry. There it is. Change name tag. I don't know why I didn't see it. Alright. Okay, so I have two things that I've called ground experiment, and I'm just going to test that my idea works. I'm not going to hit return yet, because someone in the chat claims I added the name tag. You're right, I did. Thank you for the heads up on that, Patri. before I actually hit return on my test. No module called Module Science Experiment was found on Adapter Small Mini-Tall. What? Oh, yeah, I did the set science parts already, so my changing the tag didn't help. And experiment already contains data because it did work once. Alright. But I think I had it right. I just, because of my mistake with the name tag, it didn't quite work. Let's try that again. Yep, it collected. Okay. Then that part of it is correct. Alright, I think I'm ready to launch. Just double check that what I have here matches what I did here. And it does. Okay. Think I'm ready. Alright, looking good. Part of my goal on the stream that I'm trying to do here is I want to build up the complexity little bit at a time as I go, rather than dropping in complicated scripts right from the beginning of the game. Which is why I'm doing some of these early contracts with, uh-oh, no, don't do that. Okay, well, we'll see how this goes. Which is why I'm doing some of these early contracts with some particularly crude kind of dummy scripts. I'm sort of trying to simulate what it would be like if I hadn't had any experience with the mod before, and if I didn't have an already existing library of stuff I had made for myself in previous uses of the game. Panzerwaffe, I think you can do the in-flight tagging before the VAB lets you do in-VAB tagging. Also, I'm playing Unmanned Before Manned, and they do mess around with some of the vehicle assembly building requirements. Like, I know that I have custom action groups right away from the beginning of the game, which I know the stock game does not do that. So there's a chance they may have messed around with that as well. In fact, I know there's a chance they messed around with that as well, because that's actually what we're using as the trigger. Our code is saying you don't get to have the ability to name tags until you get action groups. So the fact that it's giving me action groups early also means it gives me tags early. I don't think there's a requirement on whether you can put the tag on the part, but I think there's a requirement on whether or not you can use the routines to query for it, the parts tagged, parts dubbed stuff. I could be misremembering that. Okay, hopefully this misses the mountains by enough to be called highlands instead of mountains. It's still looking kind of mountainy. Although I see trees. That's a good sign. I don't think that puts trees in the mountain biome. Parachute, parachute. Parachute. Okay, I made a newbie mistake. Right there. Notice that doesn't say radar altitude. So, we weren't low enough yet. Oopsie. That's my fault. I will accept the failure as part of my record of my career. Okay, well. Well, that's a shame, because everything else about it, I think, was right. Will the crash report tell me where I landed? PJOD, does it actually tell me a biome in the crash report? I don't think it does. I don't see it anyway. Most G-force endured. Yeah, that would be the part where I crashed. Yeah, I don't see where it says anything about the biome here. Yeah, because, like, I have a script that'll actually fly my plane to waypoints if I have, like, an actual airplane. And I'm deliberately not using it yet, because I'm starting off with the really simple stuff. I think I can leave everything pretty much like it was. I think the only difference is I'm going to aim it a little bit further north-ish. Uh-oh. Oh, boy. I may have run my career into the ground. I have $2,000 left. Not 20,000, 2,000. Well, let's see about that. Panzerwaffe, don't ask me the same question twice if I chose not to answer it the first time. Let's see. I could... There we go, the bailout. Do I really want to do that? Get a tiny amount of funding now. Hurts my reputation a lot. And it's a one-shot deal. That is a lot of reputation hit. Am I willing to give this a try? Think I kind of am. As a last-ditch Hail Mary effort to try to save this career. Well, I think I have to. I really don't want to, because my reputation's never going to come out of the hole if I do this. I don't know what reputation is used for, though. So, let's go for it. Oh, look at that. Alright, I have one more shot at getting this right. Let me just double check. Let me double check what my actual return on this contract is, make sure it's enough. I stand to gain less money than I'm putting into it. Well, no, I'll get this and then that. That is still not enough. What else can be thrown in here? Do I have one of these stupid test contracts? Do anyone remember what the Thud liquid engine looks like? Oh wait, here we go. Test structural pylon. I use those all the time anyway. There we go. Alright. Everything else seemed to have been right the first time. In fact, so much so that I don't even feel comfortable changing this. Let's make this the same as it was. How certain are we that that spot I landed at before was highland and not mountain. Nope. I'm gonna Hail Mary it and try it heading at 315. If it fails, I may call the career done. Really? It's echoing again for no reason. It just decided to start echoing. All right. I will start the stream over again for you. I'll leave this sitting here, not touching anything, and just restart the stream.